Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. I'm quite aware that I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'll try to not go to too many details, but I already say that we have a technical workshop later today at 4 p.m., and it will be the extension of this presentation. So we're going to discuss our built environment ontology lookup service. I'm standing here on behalf of the Modeling and Standard Committee of the EC3. We are a big team, and 5 of us since October were contributing to this work. And I really like to say a big thanks to our team because it was a massive effort, and it's really a great time and dedication of all the people that you see here, myself, Frédéric from University of Edinburgh, Karim sitting in the 4th row from UCL, Iryna from Kaunas University of Technology, and Raido from Tallinn University of Technology. So, around October, we noticed that we also had these discussions since last year that there are a lot of PhD students, but also a lot of people new in the field that like to learn about ontologies, but they don't know where to start. So that was like the first motivation. But then we also noticed that there are a lot of ontologies that, besides not being able to discover them, they're also not reused. And the reasons behind them were they are outputs of short-term projects. They are sometimes as a tool towards a better data integration in a bigger project, which means that some people outside of the scope of those ontologies and those projects are not able to use these kind of ontologies because of the use case constraints. And as I said, they are not easily discoverable. So we started this built environment ontology lookup service. You can already go to the QR code, or you can see your GitHub and the link. We started to collect more than 100 ontologies. Right now we are standing around 115. We collect them all by ourselves, so it was not anyone submitting anything, and that is one of the reasons that you're going to see some very interesting trend in the data, because we started to notice what is working and what is not working. Some interesting facts. So we have right now 20 subdomains, but initially we had 26 subdomains. Out of them, we tried to settle down for 22 of them because we noticed that at least 2 ontology in our data set are about those 22. It was a bit of limitation and challenge because we really didn't have a specific terminology for what are the domains, let's say what are the subdomains of construction. And we had a lot of discussions. We looked into different standards, and eventually these are some of the terminology that we settled down. It's still a work in progress, so we hope actually we get some comments from you on this. Some insights about this. We noticed that some ontologies, especially, for example, energy-related ontologies, are more or less there. There are more ontologies in this subject of energy, sensors, data acquisition, and when you look at the data on a temporal level, you see that most of them coincide with some of the energy policies in Europe and Horizon projects. We were wondering, it's an open question, we were wondering, do these ontologies, are they complementary, are they overlapping? And these are some of the open questions that we still have, and we hope to continue exploring them. But at least our data enables us to look at this from the big picture. Then we started to do some network analysis of them. About 25% of these ontologies are not at all linked to each other. This is a little bit about how these ontologies were in the namespaces of other ontologies. So if they had some separate ontology alignment file in their website, that's not yet included here. But this also kind of shows that some of these ontologies, despite that being domain ontologies, are not very matching with each other. We don't really know why, but we are creating an evaluation framework to improve this situation. So we started with collecting the metadata of these different ontologies. And you can see when you go to the website and you see, like, you click on an ontology, you can see that these are the first, let's say, metadata that we directly collected. Then we have some enriched metadata that comes from our own analysis. It includes the primary domain. Also, we try to look if these ontologies are connected to other domain-specific ontologies. And we noticed that there are some ontologies that are, we don't know what to call them right now, but we sometimes call them cluster and sometimes call them family. So for example, Beamer, Deacon, and some other ontologies that are a collection of ontologies. So if there's an ontology that is in a bigger collection, the users can already understand this. And the idea was that we wanted to support the users of this project to be able to understand how these ontologies are better connected or more aligned and make better decisions for their projects based on that. Now, this is a very interesting part in our paper. I really invite you to go and read it. We saw that there are a lot of things that are missing, as I said. For example, ontologies are not linked together, etc. And we decided that, okay, why not we try to create an evaluation framework? And this evaluation framework is less conceptual and more practical. However, we started to look at what exists in the literature. You all know that we started with a 5-star linked open data in 2006 with Berners-Lee. And this is a great start, but then in 2012, Bernard Vaton said that, okay, yes, what Teams Berners-Lee suggested makes the data a 5-star and open, but it doesn't make the vocabulary 5-star and open. And therefore, they suggested further 5-star in order to make sure that the vocabulary that is published is reusable, machine readable, have natural language documentation, and proper labels in order to make sure that the quality of the data is good. Then in 2014, there's another team, Jonovics in 2014, that they said that, okay, we have these two previous evaluation framework, but what they are missing is that they're focusing on the data and vocabulary and not on the vocabulary use. And therefore, they created another 5-star system. So we kind of captured this, and we didn't want to repeat what they did. And already, of course, we have FAIR in 2016. We have more project about FAIR in 2020, and in 2023 and 2024, there were other frameworks, and they were also promoting how things can be better reused. For example, using unified foundational ontologies and so on. Yet, or 100 ontologies showed that ontologies are not being properly designed, and because of that, or let's say they are designed, but they are not probably maybe published or discoverable. And that was the inspiration for us to, let's say, extend this direction of evaluation. First thing that we did was that we actually used FOOPS, which is ontology pitfall scanner for FAIR. So you put the link of the ontology there, and then you get a score. How much is it in line with FAIR, and you get a percentage. So we didn't really want to repeat this step. But what we were interested in was our own evaluation framework, and this is something that we want to get some feedback on. We had a lot of discussions also with Karim here. First, let's say, axis of our framework is connectivity. Then accessibility and documentation and reuse. We're still thinking about how to rename it because of, thanks to peer review, we had some really interesting blind conversations, and we renamed some of these axes. But let's say connectivity, we so far tried to say, okay, a user comes and they want to understand if they can use this ontology or not, or if it's relevant to them. Maybe it would be interesting for them to understand how this ontology is connected to the upper ontologies. It can be friend of a friend, it can be SCOS. Then the next is how this ontology is connected or linked to an existing domain ontology for construction, which is something that we already see that 25% of the ontologies are missing. Then connectivity to metadata schema, for example, building topology ontology, IFC-OWL. I actually wrote down everything. SAR for building, ZOSA, and SSN. So when you go to our platform, you already see the last part of that. Then we thought about accessibility. So it's a little bit different from availability because these ontologies are by default available, but some of them are just accessible as a data model. For example, there is like a conceptual framework in a paper. We saw some instances like that they never actually turned into an ontology in the next step. We saw that there are some ontologies that are accessible as serialization, just a file format, surprisingly, this for 25% of the ontologies. Then accessible as a URI, which means that it was an actual ontology. Then documentation and reuse, it's no-brainer, clear natural language description, proper use of annotations, and also how it is reused or extended inside our own database. We have provided this information already in the platform, so you can see how it's a binary yes and no. So if an ontology has something that is, let's say, adhering to this axis, then they get a yes or no. This was also maybe thanks to Peter that he suggested that we can use a spider web so that we don't have to do like a sequential 5-star. We have automation. We have automated our ontology submission in our GitHub. Please, if you have an ontology here, submit it there. We have a lot of future work. One of them is today at 4 o'clock. We're going to have this technical committee, and we're going to extend this presentation, and we're going to talk about the evaluation framework, but also how we're going to add 2 new axes. With that, I say thank you. I will maybe answer questions later in the technical committee, or if you have something now, please.